I was a final year student in Glasgow, and the BBC had been reporting about fisheries problems and how fishermen had been catching the wrong fish and throwing them back dead. And some of the responses were that the law had changed, the tools hadn't really changed to meet the need. So I was looking at this thinking, well, I've got a year to look at it, and I'm in Scotland, so I can speak to fishermen. So why don't I try and focus on this as my final year project? The Dyson Award came along and it looked like a really great opportunity to not only really sort of think about the story behind it and actually communicate that to people, but also get some money to maybe make some prototypes and go on from there. Sort of involved building some things from scratch in tiny workshops in London and then submitting it to the competition. The first things that we ever built were called escape rings, and they look like this. And essentially all you've got in there are some lights and some batteries, and you can basically turn it on and off, put them in a net. So you can mount them like this. And the original idea was that you would have these so that when the mesh was pulled tight and the fish couldn't get out, you would hold them open. It was like a porthole or escape sign. So you can see it's all rounded and it's all sort of like very flat, and there aren't any edges that a fish could get caught on, because what you get, even through normal fishing net, is that they get caught on these bits here and they get injured. So we were trying to cut down the chance of that happening.
Young's approached us and said we're really keen on getting involved in gear selectivity work, and it just so happened that Dan had got involved with us from the other side of it, saying I've got this idea and I'd really like to see if it works, and it came together from there really.
I'd been speaking with Sam Elliott at CEFAS for a little while then, and she said, well, they've expressed an interest, we should arrange a meeting in Grimsby.
Young's provided us with the funding to do the work, so then it was all a case of trying to find a vessel who would be really keen on getting involved, who would be able to take the lights to sea with us and take a couple of observers as well, and see whether this had any potential.
And for this experiment that we did with Young's and CEFAS, we actually stuck with that. So we made a much simpler version of these things that could again bolt onto the nets. They've got like wireless charging and stuff, so it's much easier to use. So you throw them in, they light up, and you see what difference it makes to the catch.
We sailed with fishing vessel Providence from North Shields. We took the lights with us for the day and attached them to one side of the net. Providence is a twin rig trawler. The best thing about twin rig trawling is that we can change one trawl the way that the gear fishes and leave another side the same. So it's the standard trawl versus the experimental trawl. You've got it in real time, they tow next to each other.
Really the only thing that changes is what's in the trawl, and actually then you can start to see, well, if this was one of the significant changes versus the minor ones, then that must be what's making the difference to the catch.
This is a square mesh panel. This is where we had the lights. On these corners, the bottom corners, and two in the middle.
So what's the idea of a square mesh panel then, Nige?
The square mesh goes opposite way to the diamond mesh. Where the diamond's like that, it kind of cut.
So fish can't get out.
Fish can't get out there, but when it's like that, the small fish can swim out.
And this is supposed to let the small fish escape.
Supposed to let the small fish out.
But how do the small fish know to come out of here? Like, they don't really. So ideally, if we light this up, they can come through.
That out and have the camera here, facing down the tunnel.
Yeah.
You'd be able to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Which we did see a little bit.
If we got a load of the small fish out, apart from perhaps making your boat a more solid future with a discards ban, do you think you'd see like an extra quality benefit in the catch if they're not bashing around?
It's not as much as you chafe about.
Yeah, so you would maybe quality.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
And what about the crew? Is it going to be easier to sort?
It'll be easier for the crew because we know rubbish.
Yeah, so less time sorting.
Just less time sorting.
If it was made easy, if you could just say, when you roll the net on, just plug something in and go, leave it, come back the next day, you'd be willing to give that sort of thing a go?
Oh yeah, just go anything to try for conservation, that's no problem, that.
The feedback from the first set of trials was brilliant and really useful, particularly from the skipper, from the fishermen. So we've learned all sorts of things about usability that we can now design into the next round. And we've got a second prototype coming out in about 3 weeks, which has taken a lot of that into account, so we're really excited to see it.
There's a massive potential for using lights on trawls, and not just in prawn fisheries, in other fisheries as well. There is work out there that shows that fish interact with lights, but there isn't a lot of work out there in using light to improve gear selectivity, although it's starting to show. People are starting to catch on. I think this is it has a future. There's so much potential. We really need to find out more, because it could be such a simple way of improving selectivity.
The relationship with Young's has been great. I think not only to have a partner who has offered us resources to really try this stuff out and the time to develop it, but also people like Dave who have these amazing skills that they can bring to the whole collaboration. But more than all of that is the trust to actually go and do this in a responsible way. And the fact that they really want it to work has been phenomenal. So we're really glad to be part of it.